Okay, spoilers? Well, I just want to get caught up on the Honkai Impact story. We're gonna watch the entire story of Honkai Impact 3rd. Alright.
Hoyoverse, with its lore spanning over 8 years worth of Honkai Impact 3rd is one of the longest ongoing narratives created by Hoyoverse, with its lore spanning over 8 years worth of content. The question that most people have in the beginning is, what is the Honkai? Well, Honkai can actually mean 3 different things depending on the context used in the game. The most common use refers to the Honkai phenomena, a mysterious and destructive force that plagues Earth in Honkai Impact 3rd. The Honkai usually grows alongside technological advancements of civilizations, manifesting through plagues, natural disasters, and even monsters such as zombies and Honkai beasts. The second meaning refers to Honkai energy, which causes the Honkai phenomena. Honkai energy is extremely dangerous to humans due to the radiation it emits, but it powers almost everything in the story.
Okay, but then why is Honkai Star Rail called Honkai? Where's the Honkai in Honkai Star Rail? Is that the Stellarons? For money? No, it's the cocoon. It's coming. The Honkai is coming.
From the battles it's used in combat to the mechs and other weapons. Lastly, the third meaning, it refers to the Cocoon of Finality, a higher dimensional being and the main perpetrator of the Honkai phenomena. Previous era, a highly advanced period from 50,000 years ago. The Cocoon of Finality trapped Earth in a 50,000 year loop where every time the Earth is destroyed, it gets reset. The previous era is the previous cycle and many technologies from that time were preserved or reproduced in the current era. Valkyries are a group of female warriors enhanced by a genetic imprint known as stigmata, and they are the main force tasked with fighting the Honkai. There are 2 types of stigmata, natural, which awakens on its own in selected individual, and artificial, an attempt to recreate the stigmata technology in the current era, though it's far from perfect. The person responsible for copying the stigmata technology in the current era is Ado Apocalypse, the overseer of Shixal, the main organization on Earth tasked with fighting the Honkai. Other notable organizations include Anti-Entropy, which used to be part of Shixal but broke away due to disagreements with Ado's methods. Instead of human warriors, Anti-Entropy uses mechs powered by Honkai energy. The sovereign of Anti-Entropy is none other than Weltiang, the first Herrscher. The last notable organization is Word Serpent, which traces its roots back to the previous era. They use previous era technology and their main goal is to enact Project Stigma, a frightening plan from the previous era meant to end the Honkai at the cost of humanity itself. The leader of Word Serpent is Kevin Kaslana, a warrior from the previous era who survived in the current one. Honkai gives birth to powerful entities called Herrschers who can bend physical laws. Normally, Herrschers
How
are
can someone in the previous era keep living in the current era if the world resets? He is him? Magic? He is him. Okay, Kevin is just Himothy. Alright. He iframed to death? Okay.
Influence of the Cocoon of Finality as they are projections of its powers. However, due to the sacrifice of a certain Herrscher from the previous era, the Herrschers of the current era are no longer tied to the Cocoon's influence. Additionally, the birth of a Herrscher is always accompanied by the formation of a Herrscher core, which you can think of as a source of power for a Herrscher, allowing them to draw Honkai into physical world and bend the laws of nature. Some Herrscher cores are also referred to as gems, but note that they are the same thing. Chapter 1 begins with Kiana Kaslana, Mei Raiden and Bronya Zajcik, 3 Valkyrie trainees sent to stop a rogue battleship powered by Honkai energy from destroying a city. After reaching the control room, they learn that the battleship was gifted to Kiana by—
Tell me that shit ain't just a straight up Evangelion rip. 3 people sent to fight these
an unknown party who also tasked her with gathering 4 keys, each corresponding to a Herrscher gem left behind years ago during the second eruption when Sirin, the second Herschel, almost destroyed Earth. Suddenly, the microchip implanted in Bronya's brain is hacked by Kokolia, an anti-entropy agent, forcing her to attack Kiana and Mei. They manage to subdue her and they begin their journey to find the keys. Later, they find one of the keys, the Gem of Desire, in Shixal's Oceania branch, implanted in a young Valkyrie named Wendy.
Oh my god, it's Venti!
Wendy lost her ability to walk and harbors deep feeling of hatred towards the people who did this to her. This hatred leads her to become the 4th Herrscher who has authority over wind. They stop Wendy, but Bronya's microchip is hacked again by Kokolia, who kidnaps both Wendy and Mei. Also, I forgot to mention, Mei is actually the 3rd Herrscher who has authority over lightning. Kiana, Teresa, and Himeko team up to save them. They rescue Mei, but Wendy is killed by Cocolia.
No!
Bronya falls into a coma after burning the microchip in her head. To find a way to save Bronya, Teresa enters Shixal's secret library to search for a cure. This library can create a virtual world of events that happened in the past. Kiana follows Teresa and ends up witnessing the events of the second eruption.
Oh my god, it's her mother.
When her mother, Cecilia Shariak, died fighting the Hersher of the Void. But everything turns out to be an illusion created by Searing to break Kiana's spirit and take over her body. Fu Hua, who was an undercover agent sent by Aro, kidnaps Kiana and brings her to Shixal HQ. In order to get Kiana back, Teresa decides to ally with Dr. Einstein and Tesla from Anti-Entropy. At the same time, it is revealed that Aro's goal was to revive the second Hersher and that Kiana was a genetically modified clone created to house Syrian's consciousness. The Senfrea group infiltrates Shixal HQ, but it's too late to stop Aro's plan. The Hersher of the Void takes over Kiana's body, and all attempts to fight her prove futile. The Hersher even extracts the Gem of Conquest from Mei. Even Fu Hua, revolted by Aro's actions, turns on him, but Aro shoots her. Aro then reveals that his true plan is to have a Valkyrie sacrifice herself to stimulate Kiana's emotions, allowing her to regain control over her body and becoming a human who can use Hersher powers. Unfortunately, Aro's plan succeeds after Himeko, guided by Fu Hua's consciousness, dons a powerful battlesuit from the previous era. This gives Himeko enough power to fight the Hersher of the Void, but she ends up sacrificing herself to bring Kiana back. The events pick up 4 months later. Kiana is still missing, and the Saint Freya group heads to Ark City to make contact with a broker named Great Serpent, who has information about Kiana's whereabouts. By the time they arrive, Grey Serpent has already been killed by Rita, a Shixal agent sent by Ado. Afterward, we learn that Grey Serpent is still alive. In fact, he's not even a human, but a mass-produced robot behind the World Serpent organization. Their goal is to free their leader, Kevin Kaslana, from the Sea of Quanta. To explain this briefly, the Sea of Quanta is a chaotic space with its own unique laws. The sea also contains the so-called bubble worlds, which, as the name suggests, are unstable worlds born from the sea. Kevin, the leader of War Serpent, was cast into the sea 1,500 years ago. We also learned that Wei Tiang, the sovereign of Anti-Entropy, ended up in the Sea of Quanta and remained there to ensure that Kevin wouldn't escape. The group splits into two. Teresa, Bronya, and Einstein go to the Deep, an ancient city from the previous era, after responding to Cocolia's emergency request for help, while Mei and Tesla continue to
Oh my god, it's Cocolia!
The next few chapters focus on Bronya. We learn about her past, how she was raised in an orphanage in Siberia by Cocolia together with Rosalia, Lilia, and Sele. Unfortunately, after an experiment a few years back, Sele got trapped into the Sea of Quanta. Oh, and one important thing about Sele is that she has another personality born from her stigmata, which I'm gonna call Red Sele from now on. Cocolia's group is being attacked by Shixal forces since she possesses the Gem of Desire, but Cocolia threw the gem into the Sea of Quanta to force cooperation from Einstein and the rest. Oh, did I mention that the Deep has a way to access the Sea of Quanta? And things get even more complicated when it is revealed that Cocolia was secretly working with Grey Serpent from Bubble Worlds, where she reunites with Sele. The young boy is later revealed to be Wei Tiang, who crafted these trials to pass on his Hersher powers to Bronya, who becomes the new Hersher of Reason. Meanwhile, Sele finds herself in a bubble world created from Kevin Kaslana's memories, the leader of War Serpent and the ancestor of Kiana's family. Inside this bubble world, Sele witnesses how Kevin and his companions failed to stop the Hersher of Corruption from destroying the last remaining human cities 50,000 years ago. Kevin retrieves the Gem of Desire and is finally able to leave the Sea of Quanta, defeating both Bronya and Welt. Thankfully, everyone survives and Bronya and Sele are reunited after many years. In the following chapters, we see how Kiana tries to cope with the events that happened 4 months ago. Overwhelmed by guilt, Kiana attempts to end her own life, but she is stopped by Fu Hua, who attached her consciousness to Kiana before being shot by Aro. With Fu Hua's help, the Hersher of the Void's consciousness is suppressed, and Kiana gains partial control over her Void powers. Meanwhile, World Serpent tries to blow up an entire city using a bomb powered by Honkai energy. Kiana, using her Hersher powers, takes the bomb into the stratosphere, where it detonates and Kiana is hit with the Honkai energy from the explosion. As she falls, Kiana is caught by Durandal, the strongest Shixal Valkyrie, who captures her and takes Kiana to a Shixal base in Africa. Kiana is unable to escape Durandal until the base is attacked by World Serpent. Using the Chaos as cover, Kiana escapes but is confronted by Kevin. Fu Hua, who is revealed to be Kevin's old companion and a survivor from the previous era, stalls Kevin enough for Kiana to escape. Consumed by anger and regret, Kiana teleports to Nagazora, the city where she first met May and Bronya 3 years
Here we go.
earlier. May and Tesla pick up a signal left by Kiana and arrive at Nagazora. They follow her and meet a homeless girl named Sora, who, along with other children, lives in the ruins of the city. The children are cared for by an individual they call Sensei, revealed to be Raven, an agent of Word Serpent who is there to kill Kiana.
Better
While they initially
Natasha?
work together to fight Kiana, May and Raven eventually fight. After witnessing May's determination, Raven relents and allows her to reunite with Kiana. The two are reunited once more, but this time it is revealed that the Herschel cores are poisoning Kiana and she only has 2 months left to live. After learning this harrowing truth, May desperately searches for a cure, and the only one who promises a solution is none other than Kevin Kaslana. Kevin tells May that she must become the Herrscher of Thunder again, which will remove the Gem of Conquest from Kiana's body, giving them enough time to implement Project Stigma and save the world from Honkai. To do this, May agrees to join Word Serpent and help them. While all this happens, Atto and Kevin form an alliance. Atto opens up an imaginary singularity in Nagazora, and May absorbs the Honkai energy to become the Herrscher of Thunder
exactly?
once
Nobody
more.
knows
After
exactly.
hearing what happened, Kiana tries to stop May from leaving,
probably in the next,
but after a heart-wrenching conversation,
hour
May
to hour and a
departs
half.
with the Word Serpent. May, now a Word Serpent agent, is sent with Raven to a tropical island called Coral Island to subdue a newly formed Herrscher, the Herrscher of Ice. It turns out that the Herrscher of Ice is a former Schicksal Valkyrie named Anna Shariak. They also meet Owl, another Word Serpent agent. Owl and Anna knew each other as Anna saved his life a few years prior. Owl betrays Raven and May to protect Anna, and they both end up combining into a super Herrscher called the Herrscher of Rhymestar. May and Randall manage to defeat the monster and obtain both the core of Ice and the core from the newly formed Herrscher of Stars. Remember that a while ago Atto shot Fuhua in the head? Well, while all of this was happening, the Herrscher of Sentience awoke in Fuhua's body. Fuhua is immortal, so after Atto shot her, he put her into a healing pod. But Fuhua transferred her consciousness before she was shot, so there was no one in her body to wake up, which turned out to be the perfect opportunity for the Honkai to take over. The Herrscher of Sentience, who had Fuhua's memories when she woke up, killed one of Atto's clones, destroyed one of Word Serpent's bases, and fought Kevin, after which she gained possession of the feather that housed Fuhua's real consciousness. From there, the Herrscher of Sentience and Fuhua visit Mount Taishuan, a place where Fuhua lived for many millennia. There, the Herrscher of Sentience has a whole identity crisis until she realizes that she's not the real Fuhua. Meanwhile, Kiana and Bronya also visited the same place to look for some techniques left behind by Fuhua that could help them control their Herrscher powers. After they arrive, they witness Fuhua's memory spanning her 50,000 years life, which turned out to be planned by the Herrscher of Sentience to make them learn more about Fuhua. Then the Herrscher of Sentience makes Kiana and Bronya decide who is the better Fuhua. Of course, Kiana and Bronya choose the Fuhua they know, and the Herrscher of Sentience throws a temper tantrum, but they end up defeating her. After a while, the Herrscher of Domination, who has the power to copy negative human emotions and create up to 1,000 puppets from them, is wreaking havoc around the world. The first part of this arc focuses on Cele and the dynamic between her and her counterpart. Cele is slowly becoming more mature, and the other Cele grows scared, thinking that Cele will no longer need her. The Herrscher of Domination tries to exploit that fear, but both Celes manage to overcome it, and Cele gives the other Cele full control of the body for the first time. The latter part of the arc focuses on Kiana. After a failed attempt to stop the Herrscher of Domination, Kiana gets dragged into the Theater of Domination, a separate dimension belonging to the Herrscher. There, the Herrscher of Domination wakes up the Herrscher of the Void inside Kiana by showing Kiana proof that Himeko is indeed dead. We finally learn that Kiana and the Herrscher of the Void personality are both personalities born from Sirin's wishes. Kiana represents her wish to live a normal life, and the Herrscher of the Void is her wish for revenge. Kiana defeats the Herrscher of the Void and gains full control over the Herrscher powers. After a brief reunion and goodbye with Himeko's after-image inside the Gem of Haste, Kiana defeats the Herrscher of Domination and becomes the Herrscher of Flame Scion, commanding both the powers of Void and Fire. The time has finally come for Atto to put his 500 years long plan into motion and bring back his childhood friend and love of his life, Kalen Kaslana. Otto resigns as Schicksal Overseer and passes down the title to Teresa. He then lures the Senfrea group and Anti-Entropy to Colosten, where the old Schicksal HQ was located, using the Core of Domination as bait. When they arrive, Otto does his best to get on everyone's nerves, secretly preparing trials and obstacles for them to overcome and grow, while also furthering his plan. We finally learn that Durandal is the real Kiana, who was thought to be dead for 10 years. With her real identity revealed, Durandal teams up with Kiana to deal with Otto once and for all. Otto had amassed an infinite amount of imaginary energy by forming a connection with the imaginary tree, becoming a false god. However, he still couldn't realize his plan, but he used Kiana's hatred for him to make her use the power of the Herrscher of the Void on him, which allowed his soul to free itself from the constraints of the tree. This enabled Otto to reach the wedge of the world, where he created a branching timeline in which Kallen never died 500 years ago, finally realizing his long-lasting wish at the cost of his life. After Otto's story concludes, it's time to cover Elysian Realm, which I'm not going to do in this video. Look, Elysian Realm is massive, so I'll link you some of my other videos where I do a full story recap for it. Please watch those to fully understand it. Kevin has finally implemented Project Stigma, which placed every person on Earth inside the giant collective dream. He also hijacked the authority of finality from the cocoon. Project Stigma aims to merge the consciousness of all humans into a giant dream, which in turn would give birth to physical manifestations of human ideas, which are basically living stigmata who can coexist with the Honkai. All the people who had a naturally awakened stigmata were transported to the moon,
it's a human
and all
instrumentality project
were thrown into the Sea of Quanta. There, May and Kiana finally reunite, and with the help of some familiar faces, they manage to unlock the mental constraints on their authorities and escape from the Sea of Quanta and confront Kevin on the moon. Unfortunately, Kevin outmatches them in combat. This is when Mistaline, a Word Serpent agent behind Project Stigma, traps Kiana, May and Bronya inside a dream, intending to take control over the powers of the Herrscher of Reason. As the story progresses, we learn that Mistaline's true goal was to help Bronya awaken as the Herrscher of Truth, the complete form of the Herrscher of Reason. Afterward, the group returns to Earth, only to find that most of it has already been consumed by Project Stigma. Anti-Entropy and Schicksal come up with a plan together to stop Kevin. Durandal, Fuhua, Teresa and Sela enter the giant dream to steer the wheel of the humans trapped there and make them want to wake up on their own. While there, they also steal a part of Kevin's authority. May reclaims the lost authority of Origin, which once belonged to Alicia, becoming the new Herrscher of Origin. Kiana, after absorbing all Herrscher authorities, is recognized by the cocoon as the true Herrscher of Finality. Then, they battle Kevin one final time and defeat him, finally surpassing his ambition. Kiana gets the full authority of Finality and becomes the new goddess of Earth. Since Earth is still recovering from Project Stigma, Kiana remains on the moon to siphon all the Honkai energy there and find a way to convert Honkai energy into regular energy so that it won't threaten humanity in the future. And this is pretty much the story of part 1 summarized, but we're not done yet. No. There's still part 1.5, which is split into two big halves. So let's start with Cele's arc. Cele is lured into a bubble world that's actually two bubble worlds existing in the same space. Red Cele and Blue Cele are separated. As they search for each other, they meet Vita, a cheerful and bubbly girl who offers to serve as their guide.
From 1.5?
Later, we found out that Vita is from Venus, and that 250 million years ago, Venus also fought the Cocoon of Finality but was destroyed. The two bubble worlds are on the brink of destruction, and the one behind this is being referred to as Sa, the abyss of the Sea of Quanta. Sa is a being that evolved to be similar to the Cocoon of Finality and is planning to destroy the two bubble worlds to harness the energy resulted from their destruction. To stop Sa, they need to create a new Herrscher that is born in the Sea of Quanta and use its authority to cut the connection between Sa and the bubble worlds. Vita is revealed to be Sa's proxy, a clone of Sa that is going around the Sea of Quanta to harness energy. It is also revealed that Sa was the last survivor of Venus and gained some power from the Sea of Quanta. After millions of years of growing, Sa became a being similar to the Cocoon of Finality. After Cele becomes the Herrscher of Rebirth, she manages to defeat Vita and cut off Sa's connection to the two bubble worlds. Vita then reveals that this was part of her plan to free herself from Sa's clutches and be free. After thanking Cele, Vita disappears. The second half happens on a dwarf planet at the edge of the solar system called Phosphorus. Fuhua is teleported there by a mysterious force. There, Fuhua meets 7 city representatives who all look like child versions of Vita. As Honkai beasts keep appearing on Phosphorus, Fuhua and the small Vitas begin investigating. Soon, Fuhua learns that phosphorus was, in fact, created from the seeds carried by Grisio, one of her fellow flame chasers from the previous era, while implementing Project Arc. Project Arc was supposed to be an alternative to Project Stigma, and Grisio was tasked with finding a suitable planet without Honkai to rebuild humanity. Sa lured Grisio here and stole the genomes from the Ark to create life. Grisio fell into a deep slumber, but Fuhua wakes her up. We also learned that soon after Vita left the bubble world where she fought Cell, she was captured by Sai and imprisoned inside a small pocket space in the Sea of Quanta. With Fuhua's
Doesn't
help,
that mean her
Vita
previous
escaped.
plan was all
The one who
useless
brought
because she got
Fuhua
caught
here
anyways?
was Su, another flame chaser and the same person who threw Kevin into the Sea of Quanta 1,500 years ago. After ascending to a
All
higher
that to
plane,
just get
Su was able to
recaptured.
observe our world and came up with a plan to stop Sa by bringing Fuhua here. Fuhua, Grisio, Vita, and Mistalin managed to push Sa back, and just before Sa was about to flee, Kiana fires a beam of energy at it from the moon, essentially eradicating all its roots from the proper world.
Damn!
Inside the Sea of Quanta, Sa is extremely weakened, and Vita
Kiana
takes this
Giga
opportunity
Chad.
to kill
Just
it and
fucking
take over its
shoot the
authority.
laser from
now
the
that
moon.
she's completely free, Vita leaves Phosphorus, and her story will continue on Mars during part 2.
Okay,
So
what
gonna-
the fuck? Damn. Alright. That's kind of crazy. Huh. Kiana's too powerful? So explain again, Fob? Well, you see... I mean, I got it, but like, damn, that was a lot of fucking... I mean, I feel like he abbreviated a lot of it. This is a story, people say that is so good. Okay, to be fair, I think he abbreviated a lot of it. It's supposed to be a quick video in 20 minutes, you know? Please note that no video summary will be perfect substitute for playing the story for yourself. I made this video for people who really don't have time to dive into the story of part 1 or just want a quickly refresh of the story. But for any newcomer reading this, I highly recommend playing the story for yourself if you can. See, like this is just a summary, all right?